Yeah.
You know this business here? I don't know. We just kept the door open. It was
My hand.
I can't do that.
So close.
Wow.
That hurt me.
I hurt my neck just listening to it.
Cole! Cole! Open the door!
There you go.
It's just stuck.
Oh.
So in a couple minutes, just sit down wherever you want. In a couple minutes, we'll go work on your desk, okay? Thank you for coming over.
Give me this garbage where we're out of the place to school.
I gotta wait till the walls.
Is it actually?
You can sit down and eat.
That's
You
great.
just sit right there.
What's the, at the end of your email for
Yeah,
school?
it's probably dusty as shit.
What?
Like at the end of any of the school emails? What's the end of it?
What do you say?
Yeah.
Sincerely?
Get away from my mouth.
No, when you're logging in.
Oh, you mean the password for Rio?
No, like when you're logging into your username for school, the school email.
EDU?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Dot
.edu.
San Juan.
Sanjuan.edu.
Isn't that student.edu?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I think it's
Yeah.
dot student dot San Juan.
Oh, Trevor probably knows.
I don't know.
Yeah, you probably do.
I never
You
used
wouldn't
it.
say it if you didn't.
That's not true.
That's a good thing.
It's not letting me do it. I can't even log into my email for school.
Did you do stuff?
Yeah.
Well, at student, not student. Jocelyn, do you have your biology book?
No.
Okay, we're gonna take one. And
And let's see, do you have any numbers? We can use all of that, okay?
If Deb is a badass with his leather jacket. Are you going to have seven?
Yeah.
No, am I truck here?
Kind of a Samsung. Yeah.
Samantha here today, guys?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
How much is it? And,
$700. Wow. It's newer than your phone. Hardware wise. It is in the past. Open the door.
yeah. You know what? I should, the next time I have one of those cookies that I had a while ago, I gave her, I'm gonna give you one of those things. You too. You know what? They have those bags right there, and then another bag. Yeah. I had like these cookies a while ago.
Okay.
I'll give you the thing.
Okay, I'll bring it home.
Yeah. I'll share it with you too. There's like 3. Now I'm not gonna have
Is it only for the first hour or
You know,
for
I'm
the
trying to
both
say
hours?
it's a couple hours.
Is it gonna be for both hours or?
I don't know. It's gonna work with your biology.
I think
We'll see how long it takes. I don't think it's gonna take you that long. Yeah. I think you'll be cruising. That's amazing. Good thing.
Okay, as I looked at it, and you have a good memory. You know, when you don't, when you look back at everything, so you take both from him, and then we will go like already.
No.
Flawless.
I got it.
Good morning, Mr. Wallace.
Good morning.
I'm gonna take Jocelyn. I'm gonna take roll for you.
Where's Ryan?
I don't know.
He left?
Yes.
He was here.
Yes.
Did he just leave?
No.
He probably didn't. Did I tell him to stay? I thought I told him to stay. I thought I did. Okay, he probably went back to Marlowe.
Does that live up there all the time?
Yes, me.
That is gross.
It is what it is.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what I want you guys to do. Everything that you need, you are going to study and perform for us second half of your poem.
Second. Oh, sure.
Could you do it right now?
I don't know.
Do you need me to put on like some saxophone, some smoky saxophone music? Hollis. You call a lot of things. Do you want to do it right now?
I don't want to do it at all.
Let's do it now. Have you practiced, and then we'll judge it and see if it's better. I mean, that's cool. Okay. What I need you, so.
Maybe be on Thursday.
Alright. Could you support your brother here? Come on.
Not that permission to punch more job, he says anything.
What is it?
Be able to,
Oh, okay.
but hey, listen, imagine yourself being up there doing the same thing,
Well, I have.
right? Right, so, and it'd be uncool to have somebody like, you know, making fun of you while you do it. So, we're gonna try to support him, we're trying to help him
We'll figure it out.
do this thing, okay? And then you guys, I have to do some tests, I'm gonna do some assessment. Perfect, that's it, cool.
Right.
He must have- Hey, Ryan? Come on in, Ryan. I'm gonna have you sit, I just have a couple things I need to have you do, and then I'll send you back.
You have a copy of it? Do you want to work with her, this and that?
I was planning on working with the fan and it
Paper, a couple things I
This
gotta
is
do.
like the only time I.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do, I'm gonna assess him first, it should take about 15 minutes.
Okay,
Study your thing.
Sorry.
okay.
So here's what's gonna happen, guys. Here's what's going to happen. Trevor has to do a poetry presentation tomorrow, so he's going to practice it in front of us, and we're going to listen, we're gonna be his audience, and we're gonna be supportive, okay? In the meantime, and so he's gonna do it at the beginning of class. Hold on, yes?
So, do we give our honest opinion on how we feel about it? Or?
No,
Wow.
no.
Poetry about feelings.
But what you can do is here's the one thing I'm gonna ask you to do. This is where I would like your honest opinion. The first time he does it, if you have something if you want to give him a respectful critique, if there's something, tell him one thing he could change about it. Okay? One thing. And if you have nothing to say, if you don't, then don't say anything at all. Then what we're gonna do, I'm gonna assess Ryan. I'm gonna do some review of your final with you guys. And then I'll let you guys study your final stuff, create your notes, do your past chapters for those of you who haven't turned it in. And then second half of class, before class ends today, I'm gonna have him read it again. The whole time he's gonna be practicing it, reading it. I want you to focus on that and math today. You, Trevor, I'm talking to. And then the rest of you guys, and then we'll read it, I'll have him read it a second time and see if it's better the second time. Okay? So that's what we're doing. So for right now, I'd like you to take out your books. If you haven't finished writing those things out, remember, your study notes, your notes, all they consist of are the terms and the page numbers. That's all your notes. If you want to write definitions down, you can. I would suggest writing the definitions down and then taking the stuff home and studying it. Okay? These are your finals notes. This will be homework for chapters for weeks 17 and 18. Remember though, if you have past chapters due, make sure you get those done. So take out your books. Those of you who don't have them, when you're done eating, would you take out your American government book? And then study this stuff because I do want to review it like we did yesterday. Today I'm hitting everything. So it's not just, we're not just focusing on the governor, all of the things for the final. Again, everything is up here with the page numbers. You can keep it simple. I just want terms. I'm not going to ask you to explain any of the provisions. Just know what the provisions are. Hello, Coach. And then the rest of this stuff, we're going to keep it fairly rudimentary, fairly basic. You don't have to know all of the really fine details. Just be able to say, hey, state legislator gets this many years, terms. Now remember, there's a difference between the Assembly and the Senate for the state. Got it? The Assembly and the Senate. So know the difference between the two. Okay, Ryan. So a couple things I need to do. First, let me get you a piece of blank paper. Do you have something to write with, Ryan? A pencil or a pen? I'm going to give you a couple of math problems. I need you to do these. And when you're done with that, I'm going to have you read something, and I'm going to ask you some questions about it. And then there will be one writing sample. what is your favorite subject in school? What class do you like the most?
Music.
Okay. So here's what I'm gonna have you do first, actually, not the math, but the paragraph. I need you to write one paragraph. About why you like music so much, okay? So one paragraph here. You can do it on, would you rather do it on a piece of lining paper?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the instructions. You don't have to write, this is one paragraph about music. It should be 4 sentences, why you like it so much, okay? Oh, hey, no. We're not going to, not in there, Bethany. Not during first through third, early morning.
Libby.
What?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of.
I'm trying to help you other people tell you what?
Vanessa?
What?
Just be. If you just continue to be nice and be calm, it'll make her feel guilty. And then she'll realize what a meanie she is, and that you can enjoy her suffering because you
My suffering?
stayed nice the whole time. Did you finish your paragraph?
Yeah.
Okay, can I have that, please? Okay. Then the next thing, I'm going to have you read something. Let me know when you're done reading this, then I'm going to ask you some questions about it, okay? Ernesto, can I ask your favorite phone? Do I need to kick you out? Okay, Ryan, here's a story. I want you to read this to yourself and let me know when you're done. And when you're done, I'm going to ask you some questions about it, okay?
take Tomiko up, and she was carried to the stony town. Now the people came to the sky that lighted there before in the moon and the million smile.
Okay. Go ahead, read it one more time silently to yourself. Let me know when you're done. Say I'm done, and then I'll ask you questions. Okay. First question. You can, if you need to look at that to answer the question, if you want to look at it, you can. Okay. Where did Tiny Tomiko go after she cleaned her house?
To Togo Town.
Okay. The night she woke up and looked at the sky, what did she notice?
The sun and outside people.
Okay. What happened to Tiny Tomiko when there was a gust of wind?
He carried the stormy sky.
Okay. And finally, according to the story, does the moon now look happy or sad?
Sad. Happy.
Well, which one?
Sad.
Okay, I want you to look at it one more time now. I'm going to ask the question again. I want you to look closely at the story. According to the story, does the moon now look happy or sad?
Happy.
All right, and here's the last thing, and then when you're done with this, you go back to Mr. Marlowe's. I want you to do these problems. You have a pencil. Take your time with them. Think them through. Okay, Ryan, actually, you didn't do this right. So on this piece of paper right here, I want you to write a paragraph and describe to me why you like music so much. Okay? One paragraph, 4 sentences. So you're gonna write a paragraph about why you like your music appreciation class so much.
Yeah. I like music.
Okay? And you can go to Ms. Barlow's now. You have it back. Ryan, you can head back to Mr. Barlow's. What the hell are you doing?
Oh, I never did.
want me to like lecture you, yell at you, go call your coach in here? Do you want that to happen? Like, what do you think just sitting there doing that? All the times I've talked to you about that. Libby, did I not ask you to take out your American government book after you were done? I mean, I let you eat, okay? You looked at me, you appear to say you would. Please, at least have your American government book. You see, your mentorship as a senior, you see what it's leading to? The big fella here, he's just sitting there like, all right, you, first get your book out, open up your book. Oh, why don't you throw that away? Nothing good could come of an open container full of milk.
You already spilled it.
No,
On top of textbooks. Can we throw that away, please? Just go outside, dump it in the grass, and then throw the container away. All right, you guys, are you ready? Okay, we'll wait till Libby comes back.
You know what, I'm gonna walk as slow as possible. It's too annoying.
If you want to be passive aggressive, you may.
I'm not passive aggressive.
I'm not talking to you.
I always respect adults and what they do.
All right, so we are going to watch Brother Lawson here, and he is going to perform his poem. Are you supposed to give the audience some background about it?
No, I'm supposed to say except the name of the title.
Oh, the title? Okay. So present it as if this is your English class, or hey guys, I would like you guys to pay attention. If you have any criticism, constructive criticism, okay? Then, and you can be respectful about it, you can let him know. And then what we're gonna do is kind of judge it right now in your head, and regardless of how you feel about it now, towards the end of class, he's going to do it again. And you'll have some time to practice it and stuff. And then we'll see if there's an improvement. Okay? So.
The Day by Jeffrey Rock.
That was brilliant! Bravo! Right, get your ass up there. Okay.
The Day by Jeffrey Rock. It hangs on its stem like a plum at the edge of a darkening thicket. It's blushing and swelling and ripe, and I reach out a hand to pick it. The flesh was so reclined, and evening comes on fast. And just when I think my fingers might seize that sweetness at last, the gentlest of breezes rises, and the plum lets go its stem. And now it's my fingers ripening, and evening that's reaching for them.
Dude, that was excellent. I would say this, okay? I would say this. One of the things you do with your hands in your pocket, I would, if you can.
I'm going to be behind the podium.
You're going to be behind the podium or your hands on the podium?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's fine. Great inflection, especially early on, and then I felt as it progressed, it got a little bit softer, okay, at the end of lines. So I would
You
make,
speak louder.
yeah, project a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. But when it first began, you were like the frequency, the whole thing was really solid. Okay. So just project a little bit more. You look pissed. It's not an angry poem. Don't look so pissed. I think you're just being intense.
I'm trying to set the space for the
I think it's just so dark in here.
Don't try
Trying to
to
go to the moon as well.
You know what I would do? And don't laugh at me for telling you guys
put
this.
a spotlight on
No. No, I'm trying to, no, this isn't about me, it is about you. What I would do is imagine there's somebody in the audience that you're trying to impress, whom you want to fall in love with. And this is, I'm being serious.
I'm not taking it seriously, just
This is your one opportunity to impress this person. Okay? So that's how I would treat it. Really. Hey, notice I said person. Okay, so whatever floats your boat. I don't judge. If it's Austin, you know, I mean, hold on. I gotta throw it in my mouth. The thought of you and Austin. Walking by there. Hey. I think definitely project a little like you began the poem. Would you agree? Libby, since you noticed that and you gave that, Libby, quit playing with your
Girl, something got my eyelash.
Would you agree? Do you guys, those of you
I
who
agree.
notice it,
Maybe a little
like
less.
it started, no, come on. It started strong and you were projecting, and here's the thing, you were looking at your audience, and then as you got to the end of the first, like, line or stanza, there's this kind of fall, and then you begin looking away. And as the less eye contact you made, the more your voice dropped. So make eye contact.
I wasn't making eye contact.
Well, I mean, look out.
Yeah.
Look out at your audience and make them feel what you're feeling inside. And I'm telling you,
Dead. Feeling dead inside.
you know what?
Toast me, needs to
Harness that. Harness
So
that.
that was the part we needed. Yeah.
I think if you felt dead inside, you would love it. You would be angrier. Yeah.
It sounds like there's some
Is it, wait, is it, so if you're dead inside, you have like no emotions, it's not that it's.
Pretty much.
You have
Yeah, fair
experience.
enough. Okay. Fair enough. See, there's a difference. See, when you say dead inside, there's a difference between dead and apathetic. Apathetic to me is no emotions. Like you don't care. You know, obviously, I want you to think about this, right? Dead is. Have you guys ever seen ghost stories? You guys have seen movies or read stories about ghosts, right? And sometimes those ghosts are angry.
I've seen monsters.
Could you go for a walk?
Alright. I'll leave my phone here.
Yeah, leave your phone here.
Oh,
Go talk to your coach and ask him, Coach Strotter, and ask him if he feels that you should interrupt the class when they're trying to have a serious discussion. Ask him what he thinks about that. And tell him, and let him know that I'm no longer interested in apologies. I want consequences. And I would like him to impose a consequence that you come back weeping. Sit down. And be quiet. No, sit down. Sit down.
I will combine them.
No. Sit down.
I'll go with my
and-
football cleats so I can push the sled on.
Sit down. You know, here's the thing. You would probably, like, when you take things seriously, you have good suggestions. You're a bright, feeling person. I'm trying to help this guy out. So anyway, back to this. You ever see how ghosts, sometimes they're angry? See, to me, that's the difference between dead and then to be unfeeling or uncaring. Now, that obviously depends on how you define death. But clearly, you're the living dead based on what you're talking about, right? Or you're a ghost. So you're that kind of dead. I don't think it necessarily implies a lack of feeling.
You're saying there was like zero seriousness when this and that at all. You said something about being dead.
Mhm.
And then it's like that's, or something about how you feel inside.
Well, I don't want you to use that as an excuse not to project or, you know what I mean? Because you guys like to throw up barriers. Like I say one thing, I say, hey, turn right, and I'm gonna turn left. I'd rather turn left. Yeah, I'm trying to help you here, so.
Yes, Mr. Wallace.
There's 100 points right now.
Mr. Wallace.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you open your mind to the possibility of imagining there's somebody out in that audience who you want to have fall in love with you. And this is the one poem. This is the key to that person's heart. You treat it like that, I think you can get 100 points. Okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, Mr. Wallace.
All right, yes. This is off topic and keep your mouth shut. No, what is it, Austin? Jesus, what I regret asking you. Okay, we're gonna do a review. You guys ready to review?
Press yourself, Jay. Buckle down, push forward.
So why don't we start with the California Constitution, 686. Everyone turn to page 686. I want to see your votes on 686. You have nothing else to do. You only have that. Did you finish my 5-paragraph story for my English class?
Last week I gave it to you.
Okay.
I wrote next to it, the story about
That was a story or an essay? Did you write the story? You wrote the essay. Write me a 5-paragraph story, put that in the dictionary. That's fine. You want to hold on to the dictionary, you can hold on to the dictionary. You don't need to know how to spell, you need to write a story. All right, 686. Devin, give me one provision of the California Constitution. What does our Constitution provide?
Protection of civil rights.
Protection of civil rights, give me another.
Protection of religion.
The protection of religion, does it say in there? Are you on 686? You are not on
Which
686.
constitution are you talking about?
Are you on 686?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what constitution, what state are we dealing with right now? We have shifted from U.S. government, from
I forgot, sorry.
governmental structures on a national level to governmental structures on a state level. That's what we're ending the class with. So we're talking about the California, if you look on page 686, what constitution is mentioned?
Right.
Not the right constitution, the California Constitution.
I mean, I'm
So give me one of the provisions. It's in italics. It's not too difficult.
basic principles.
Basic principles is one of them. Xavier, give me another.
Constitutional change.
Constitutional change. Libby, give me a third.
Protection of civil rights.
Protection of civil rights. All right, same one that Devin picked. That's okay, though. That is a third. Tai, give me a fourth, please. You're not there. Andrew, give me a fourth. So we have constitutional change, basic principles, protection of civil rights. Tai, what?
Government powers and process.
Government powers and processes, very good. Ernesto's working. I'm having you guys give me a fifth.
I'm working too. Something else. My essay.
Then you just tell me. You tell me you want to be left alone while you finish that? You just tell me that, okay? Next time you don't have to just say, Mr. Wallace, I'm working on something else beside this class. Can I do that instead of this? And I would have said yes. Give me a fifth. Miscellaneous provisions. If you guys know those, we're good to go. The main ones are the protection of your civil rights is really probably the most, that is the thing that applies to you guys as citizens or as residents here of this state, okay? And the same thing for the U.S. Constitution, the amendments, how they apply to you individually, obviously as a country as a whole. And then the other thing, which is most people do not exist at this level or think about government at this level, and that is constitute the powers and the ability to change laws. Now, most people don't really think about that kind of stuff. There are people who are astute, who study that kind of stuff, and all of a sudden Congress will come out with a law, or the state will come out with a law, and they'll come out and say, wait, they can't do that. You can't do that. That's not something government has a power to do, based on their interpretation or understanding of the Constitution. And sometimes they're right. And then these individuals might get enough people behind them. You know, maybe they sign a petition, or they go to a local representative, or if there's a law that is imposed upon them that they don't agree with and they know their rights, they fight it. It goes to the Supreme Court, and sometimes people have made changes. They have been able to get things overturned because of their understanding of how the Constitution works. Okay? And then sometimes people, they don't say a word, and then they just go on living by the laws, the rule of laws of the land. That happens too. Okay? Alright, so those are the provisions. So let's do this again. Devin, give me one of the provisions of the California Constitution. Yeah. And now listen up. Listen to one another and don't repeat what someone before you says. So pay attention. Go. What are one of the provisions of our Constitution? Basic principles. Xavier, give me another.
Governmental structure.
Governmental structures. Andrew, give me another.
Protection of civil rights.
Protection of civil rights. Libby.
Governmental powers and processes.
Governmental powers and processes. Tyler.
Constitutional change.
Constitutional change. Nico. You got that one last time, didn't you? Alright. So good. So you guys should know these basic provisions of the California Constitution. What is guaranteed to you guys as a resident of this state. Alright, now we're going to, I'll have you guys turn to flip a couple pages to 689. This covers 689 to 70. Now we're going to talk legislators here in the state. So the first thing I'm going to throw at you, so you guys are going to need to know how to use your books. And if you haven't written this down and you don't know where to find it, you may want to write it down. The first thing I'm going to ask you guys is, Devin, I'm going to throw this at you. What is the term limit? How long is a term for a senator in the state of California? How long does a term last for a senator in the state of California? Okay, so did you not hear me say turn to page 689? Might want to turn to page 689. So now we're talking legislators. So the first thing you guys need to know are our legislators consist of two types here in this state. Okay? I mean, there are many, but for the book's purposes, it lists the Assembly and the Senate. You guys remember how many members of the Senate exist in this state? There are 40. Remember the number of the Assembly? It's double. 80 Assembly members. Did you have a question? Yeah. An essay is non-fiction, a story is fiction. Okay? You make it up. For an essay, you would write about facts. You would write based on truths and facts. Data.
Well, your essay could be fictional. You're welcome.
So if the essay is about, like, let's say, so some people will use a story, they'll treat a story like an essay. So like, I'll make something up in order to prove a point. Yes, but, Libby, that definition of an essay, Libby, there's a lot of people who debate that. The difference between, because there are stories that serve as allegories, there are stories that serve as fables. So like, a fiction that proves a point, why isn't that an allegory or a fable? Okay? A lot of people,
Why are you so serious today?
I'm writing a story about.
Why am I so serious?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to teach you guys something, and I get this yahoo right here, who I've always been incredibly respectful of. Totally respectful of. Wants to, in the middle of that, flick an eraser head at me. Thinking that that's okay. You think that's okay? You think that's cool?
It'd be okay to get you.
Don't you think things happen in context though? Like if I was constantly effing with you, right? Like if I did that to you, like I could get that. You guys want to dish it back? You guys do that. But like, just come out of nowhere, I don't know, man. You know?
So if I write a story about the monster, would that count?
I'm asking you to write a story, not an essay. Okay? So, if you're going to make it up, why are you asking me if you can write a story about a monster? Do you want me to tell you, you want me to wipe your nose for you? Like, can you be a student and decide like where you're going to take this story? I don't care what you freaking write about. You can write about a can opener for all I care. Just make it a story, a 5-paragraph story.
Do you like sausage party?
Oh.
Please do.
Of course you do.
Have you seen that?
It's on
No,
Netflix.
I hear it's really dirty.
It's on Netflix. You should watch it. There's a giant orgy.
Don't.
Grocery store cans.
Can we not?
Terrible. Terrible.
Then don't.
But you understand what I'm saying, Tyler, right? Why are you still talking? Be quiet and write your story. I could see you in the huddle. Quarterback's trying to call me. Hey, You drive me nuts.
No, I guess it's the stall.
I try to give you a home, man. You come into it and you crap on my floor. That's how I see that.
I don't think that's what happened.
Yeah, I did that in all classes.
What's that?
I did that in all the classes.
You do that in all your classes.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Like crapping on people.
Huh?
It's fun.
It's funny. So your sense of fun comes at the expense of others. You think that's funny?
Expense others.
What's that?
How does it expense others?
How is it at the expense of others? Because it comes at whether or not that your actions are respectful or disruptive to others. Right? Like imagine if you were real serious about something, like let's say you were having a problem in a class or with an adult on campus and you came to me and you asked me for help, Mr. Wallace. You know, I'm having this problem and I really need, and in the middle of it, having this conversation with me, I pick something out of my pocket and flick it at you. Like how, I'm wondering like how would that, what do you, I guess maybe you would say it's funny. Wouldn't you think that that's totally obnoxious? That would be mean-spirited. Like at that moment, it doesn't really, it's not really, it doesn't really fit that moment, right?
Yeah.
So just something to think about. Why you gotta waste my paper? Like what'd you do? Write a line you didn't like, so you're gonna waste a whole sheet of paper? You guys are killing me today. Absolutely killing me.
Your glare from your phone is hurting my eyes.
Huh?
The glare from your phone is hurting.
You know what I would do? I'd take one of your little Cheerios or whatever and flick it out. Yeah, that's what I think about you and your eyes. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, you.
Oh my god!
I guess that's kind of funny. I'm not overly serious today, although I did want Trevor
You
to.
are overly serious.
They want
Dude, I'm serious every day.
No.
Yeah.
No. Shut the hell up.
Okay, so back to this. State legislature. Devin, how long does a term last? Not the term limit. The term limit means how many terms can a legislator serve? How long does a term last for a senator? So you're going to look at the state legislature, okay? So you see qualifications, so you start, all of these things right here that I have listed, move it. There's a header for it, so you see terms, so read that. How long does a term last for a senator in the state of California?
4
what?
4 years.
Excellent. Libby, how long for an assembly member? How long does a term last? Eight. I'd be wrong.
You.
So do you know what the term limits are? Because here's a hint. Based on their term limits, they can serve 6 years in the legislature. Now, if you know how many terms they can serve, that'll tell you how long a term lasts. So here's a way to look at it. They can either serve 6 one-year terms, 2 3-year terms, or 3 2-year terms. What makes the most sense to you?
Or 6 1-year terms.
That's what I said. That's what I started with.
Yeah, you
Oh, you
dressed,
can
he
say 1
said,
6-year term, or 12 half-year
you
terms.
said, he said 6 1 year.
12. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
So it'd be 6 years.
Or, okay, I can't do
Oh my
that fast enough.
Oh my god.
24 quarter of a year term.
There you go.
Stop.
48 8-year term.
I suck at math, stop it.
Okay, guys, I'm getting
2 years,
frustrated.
God.
2 years, there you go. Term lasts 2 years, they get 3 terms, okay? What's the term limits for the Senate, Andrew?
What was that?
4? No. No. Look at your book. How many years for the Senate? You're telling me how many senators are in California. What's the term limits for the Senate, Devin? I know you know, you were just looking at it, I think you know. That's how long the term lasts. How many terms do they get to serve? They get 2 terms, so it's a total of 8 years. So 8 years for the Senate, 6 years for the Assembly. 4 years, 2 terms for the Senate. 2 years, 3 terms for Assembly. Got it? Can we put the phone away? Thank you. Trying to do some review here. Libby, what's the pay for an Assembly member of the state of California? We are one of the best paying, if not the best paying state. How much does an Assembly member or a legislator get in the state of California?
A lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Okay.
That's a subjective number.
It's not as if you, well, yeah, a lot is. Why don't you look at compensation? You killed me.
What?
6, I just said, you guys turn to page 689 to 70, has all the information you guys need. Okay?
It's about 110 grand.
About 110 grand, there you go. Finally, Libby, give me one of the qualifications for a legislator. Just one qualification. And Andrew, you're going to give me a second one that doesn't echo what you just said. Libby first. One qualification to be a legislator in the state of California.
Must be at least 18 years old.
All right, thank you.
Qualified to
18
vote.
years old and qualified to vote. Andrew, what's a second qualification?
A legal resident.
A legal resident, stop right there. For how many years, Tyler? That's a great response. Which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?
I don't know exactly.
You don't know exactly. Why don't you look at your freaking book?
I'm trying to.
Page 689. Are you on 689? There you go. Turn to freaking 689. Look at qualifications. You see qualifications? Big blue letters right there.
3 years.
You're being quite loud.
What's that?
3 years.
They have to be a resident for 3 years. Okay? And to say, now, there's one other residency requirement, Nico. So you got to be 18 years old and be registered. Okay? Got to be a citizen. You got to live in the state for 3 years. There's one other requirement. It has to do with districts. What is it? 1 year in the district for which you are being elected for. Got it? Libby. How long do you have to live in the district for which you are
1
being elected
year.
for? Very good. Andrew. How old do you have to be a legislator in the state of California?
18.
Devin, how much do legislators in the state of California get paid?
18.
Tyler, how many years must you be a resident of the state of California to be a legislator?
3 years.
Xavier, how many years must you live in the district for which you are trying to get elected for?
1 year.
Libby, how much do legislators get paid in the state of California?
$110,000.
Devin, how old do you have to be a legislator?
18.
And how many years do you have to be a resident of the state? Three years.
3 years.
I know you're trying. By the way, beautiful jacket. You guys notice his leather coat?
He's a biker.
It is a beautiful jacket. You want to stand up and
I got one like that.
model it for us? It is. You look good in it. It is. Doesn't he look good in that?
Yeah.
It looks really smart, man. Do people still use the word smart? That means really nice.
I feel like it means like smart is like it's like an intelligent and really intelligent.
That means that too. Or it means obnoxious.
Yeah, let's go that way.
Don't get smart with me, boy. All right. Not bad, you guys. Governor. Turn to page 694. 694. Let's all turn to 694. Keep right. Hey, do you want to practice your? You want to practice your projecting outside? I go out to the fence. Just practice a couple times. Not particularly? We're trying to help you out here, so you don't want to do that? Okay, well, you obviously know it. So we've given you feedback, so if you're not gonna practice it, I'm not gonna have you do it a second time. That'd be cool, like fall to your knees and scream. Like completely, because it's a mellow, poem, right? The mood is kind of mellow. And just like kind of look at Reese and be like, did I capture the mood? Be totally ironic. That'd be
Have you seen the videos of North Koreans crying? You never seen that? They literally go, that is not an exaggeration.
I could have gone my whole life without seeing you do that and been very happy. That's going to be in my dreams tonight. I am going to be a crying North Korean about 2 in the morning with an image of you in my head. The North Koreans, those poor bastards, man. They got it rough. Poor bastards.
No, this is me when I cry.
Actually, the Koreans are some of, that the first NFL football players who were Asian were all Koreans? Really? They're, as far as the Asians are concerned, they're the largest of the Asians.
This was. This is me when I cry.
I don't cry. What the hell is this for?
I don't know. Just how sometimes you cry subtly, and other times like no.
Guys, study governor. Study sources, direct legislation, state offices, and governor. Okay? So I'm going to put a star by each category you guys need to study. Pay attention to this. I'm going to be asking you guys questions. Here's a star. Here's a star.
You say so?
Here's a star. And that star, of course, includes governor, state offices, got 699 through 700, and then sources of bills, direct legislation. For direct legislation, all you guys need to know now, in this case, you need to know that it's an initiative and a referendum. What's the difference between an initiative and a referendum? Okay? Remember, a referendum is something that is driven by the voters, by the public. An initiative is something that's driven by legislators. It's usually done through the assembly. Okay? And then as far as direct sources of bills, basically 3 sources: the legislators themselves, governmental agencies, the public, private sector, and what is considered, why don't you take, I'm going to take your desk, I'm going to stick you in this corner, get it. You, I want you to concentrate. You're going to move your desk, stick it right there. If I see you turn your head around, I'm going to send you to the office and give you the rest of it. Story. You got friends up there? I'm going to find out where your friends aren't, and that's what I'm going to say.
He has friends everywhere.
And he's a very gregarious guy like that. Great cough qualities. Focusing on what he's supposed to do, that's not one of his great qualities. Other than that, he has some outstanding qualities. Very fine young man when he's not annoying. Study. We'll get back to it in a little bit. Hey, could you guys just, there you go. See? Work out there. Remember, you don't have to study everything in the chapter. You don't have to study every single bit of the minutia, all of the fine details. Just basically know the terms and the figures. So for example, if it says pay, know how much the governor gets paid, know how much legislators get paid. I want this to be automatic for you, so if I say how much does the governor get paid? She would say $175,000 a year. If I say, Tyler, how much does a legislator get paid? You already said it earlier. You said around $110,000. Term limits, know the figures, know those exact. Assembly, 2 years, 3 terms. Senate, 4 years, 2 terms. Know the powers of the governor. What are the powers? 697. Okay, remember, he's the chief executive of the state. So he has some powers that extend that a senator in the state does not have. For example, the power for clemency, aka pardoning people. Anyway, your phone, I'll set it right here. You don't have to talk to me like that, all the help I've given you. To talk to me like that, like I'm some punk. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you be successful. doing? So have you seen your email? So I'm on a list of teachers who did not do the articulation thing. Did you do it for your seniors? Do you have any seniors? Yeah, we're supposed to do it. So I just got a snarky email about it. Well, it wasn't snarky. But I don't know how to do it. Like, I'm looking at this, I'm following their directions, and it's just like I'm looking at it wrong. So, but obviously if you did it, you don't remember doing it. Okay. Good enough. No, they want to do this for here. Let's see if you are on there. Yeah. Okay. You go over your computer. Yeah, I'm looking at. I'm just like, oh. What's that? Go into the Safe Student Record, click School from the drop down menu. I guess it's over on the filter. School. Select one. The top. River Mount High School. And then once we click school, scroll to the bottom to the articulation field. Scroll to the bottom. I don't see this articulation field. Gotcha. Bye-bye. Yes. Hey, you, go to Barlow's. Go. Pack up your stuff and get out of here. Because I don't want you here right now. Hey, I'm going to send that Tyler Platts to you. So or I can send it to the office. What would you rather I do? Oh, he's like flicking eraser heads, you know, which I was flexible with. Being a general pain in the butt, which, you know, usually I find quirky, but now I'm not. Now he's making fart noises, so I'm going to send him to you. I mean, I just think this is a little unbecoming of a senior. Could you have, and especially when they're doing mellow stuff right now, he doesn't do this. And people are actually trying to work. Okay, sending it to you. Bye-bye. I'll be right back.